Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhagavatam. We are reading from, let me share my screen. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, verse number 26. Shriyo nivaso yasya rora panapatram mukhadarshana drisham bhavaloka palanam saranganam padambujam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shriya of the goddess of fortune, Nivasha, the residential place, Yasya, one whose, Ura, chest, Panapatram, the drinking pot, Mukham, face, Drisham, of eyes, Bhavaha, or Bhavaha, the arms, Lokapalanam, the administrative demigods, Saranganam, of devotees who talk and sing of the essence or substance, Padambujam, the lotus feet. Translation. The Lord's chest is the abode of goddess of fortune. His moon-like face is the drinking vessel of the eyes, for eyes, which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are the resting places for the administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge of pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subject except his lordship. Purport. There are different classes of human beings, all seeking different enjoyments from different objects. There are persons who are seeking after the favor of the goddess of fortune, and for them, the Vedic literatures give information that the Lord is always served with the reverence by thousands and thousands of goddesses of fortune at the Chintamani Dhama, the transcendental abode of the Lord, where the trees are all desire trees and the buildings are made of touchstone. The Lord Govinda is engaged there in herding the Surabi cows as his natural occupation. These goddesses of fortune can be seen automatically if we are attracted by the bodily features of the Lord. The impersonalist cannot observe such goddesses of fortune because of their dry speculative habit. And those who are artists, overtaken by the beautiful creation, should better see the beautiful face of the Lord for complete satisfaction. The face of the Lord is the embodiment of beauty. What they call beautiful nature is but his smile, and what they call the sweet songs of the birds are but the specimens of the whispering voice of the Lord. There are administrative demigods in charge of the departmental service of cosmic management, and there are tiny administrative demigods in the state service. They are always afraid of their competitors, but if they take shelter of the arms of the Lord can protect them always from attacks of the enemies. A faithful servant of the Lord engaged in the service of administration is the ideal executive head and can well protect the interest of the people in general. Other so-called administrators are symbols of anarchisms, leading to the acute distress of the people who are governed by them. The administrators can remain safely under the protection of the arms of the Lord. The essence of everything is the Supreme Lord. He is called Saram. Those who sing and talk about him are called Sarangas, or the pure devotees. The pure devotees are always hankering after the lotus feet of the Lord. The lotus has a kind of honey which is transcendently relished by the devotees. They are like the bees who are always after the honey. Srila Rupa Goswami, the great devotee Acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, has sung a song about this lotus honey, comparing himself to the bee. O my Lord Krishna, I beg to offer my prayers unto you. My mind is like the bee, and it is after some honey. Kindly, therefore, give my bee mind a place at your lotus feet, which are all resources for all transcendental honey. I know that even big demigods like Brahma do not see the rays of the nails of your lotus feet, even though they are engaged in deep meditation for years together. Still, O infallible one, my ambition is such, for you are very merciful to your surrendered devotees. O Madhava, I know also that I have no genuine devotion for the service of your lotus feet. But because your lordship is inconceivably powerful, you can do what is impossible to be done. Your lotus feet can deride even the nectar of the heavenly kingdom, and therefore I am very much attracted by them. O Supreme Eternal, please therefore let my mind be fixed at your lotus feet, so that eternally I may be able to relish the taste of your transcendental service. The devotees are satisfied with being placed at the lotus feet of the Lord and have no ambition to see his all beautiful face or aspire for the protection of the strong arms of the Lord. They are humble by nature, and the Lord is always leaning towards such humble devotees. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Parishaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So once again, welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 11, Krishna returns to Dwaraka, verse number 26. I'll read the translation once again. The Lord's chest is the abode of goddess of fortune. His moon-like face is the drinking vessel for eyes, which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are resting places of administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge for pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subject except his lordship. So before I speak a few words, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas on this call. Now, I think I've been falling a little bit on the nectarian topics that everybody was speaking, very beautifully speaking the glories and how the Dwarkavasis are welcoming back Krishna into their heart. And so many analogies were given in the previous talks, correlating to Naperville and the situation we are in. So, as I was thinking, what should I speak on? Actually myself, I've been doing some soul searching, and there's so many wonderful realizations I've been contemplating on. And I was trying to jot down some points, how can I correlate my realizations in this particular topic? I felt like, a kid who's received 10 toys, who never has toys, and you have 10 toys, and you're trying to figure out which toy to play with, right? You go crazy. So in that mood, I may jump around a lot as I speak today's class. So forgive me if you feel it is a little disorganized, but I'll try to put my thoughts in a streamlined process so that I can communicate properly. So yes, in terms of saying soul searching, I was thinking, I think recently, about a couple of days ago, I was just thinking about how life evolves in everybody's, how each one of our life evolves, day to day, month to month, year to year, right? And then lifetimes to lifetimes. So I was thinking about it, and each one of you can correlate to the journey that I'm going to take you through. Hopefully, I will try to convey the journey that I went through, and maybe you can correlate to your own life, right? So, I think I hardly remember my early days of childhood, right? I think from maybe 1 year old, or even when I was born, to maybe until 4 years, 5 years. I think I hardly remember the pieces. But there are some things that my parents told me about. I used to do something, or I got into some form of danger, and they felt I was protected and whatnot, right? So I think a few stories remind me, but I hardly remember any of that, right? And then eventually, I think, because I live in a village, eventually my aunt took me to her house so that I can get some good education. About, I think, when I was in kindergarten or so, she took me because she lived in a better place where there is good education and whatnot. And I lived with my aunt for about 2 years. So there I remember interacting with my cousins, meaning I had three sisters. My aunt has three daughters. One daughter, very, I was very close to her, I remember. And I think I vaguely remember a few incidents, but I think a few pieces that I remember was somebody in the neighborhood, they had us like a small birthday, and they happened to give me a small eraser. I still remember that eraser for some reason. A small eraser. And I think in those days, eraser was a great possession to have, because I remember, it had a scent smell. Maybe some of you know. There are regular erasers and there are some scented erasers. And I remember having that scented eraser as my possession. But a whole lot I remember a few things. I had, my aunt's in-laws, they were very old people. I used to sleep next to them. I remember once there was huge rains, I was walking from school, my whole bag got wet, and I remember drying up all my books under their bed and whatnot. So a few small incidents that I remember. Right? And then eventually I got put in a boarding school because, two of my cousins went to boarding school. They thought at that time we were evolving from an agricultural family, and, my grandfather was, he was an agriculturalist. My father was an agriculturalist. And then they wanted to be, me to have good education because they saw people in their circle that who had good education. So I went to boarding school, and I spent almost 10 years, from first grade to 10th grade in a boarding school. So there's a few details that I remember, but I think as you evolve, now you go from little positions to having friends, right? So I remember having close friends, about 3 or 4 close friends that and almost, I think, 25 to 30 kids. We all grew up together from first grade to 10th grade. In between, some new kids came, some old kids, some kids left. But I remember, vaguely maybe 4 or 5 kids that I very well interacted with. Because a boarding school, you can think of it as like a jungle, right? You're in one sense, you're surviving on your own. You're on your own to handle your emotions and whatnot. But you build a circle, you build a small family for yourself, meaning your close friends that you interact with, you play with, you study with, and do a lot of things, right? Then from boarding school, as soon as we passed 10th grade, I lost, meaning I think most of my friends, I think maybe hardly one person I was in touch with. Then I went to, we call it junior college, for 11th and 12th grade. So I remember having a few more friends there, right? Again, built deeper relationships because I was a little more younger, more into youth, watched movies and everything together, did a whole lot of things, right? And then, when I went to engineering, maybe 2 or 3 friends came along with me into engineering. Through engineering, had great time, fun, learned, educated myself. And then one day I decided to come to America. So most of my friends were left behind, meaning some of them came to America, but, each one were in a different city, moved on, right? And that's what happened. Eventually got married, form another group of friendship, form another group of family members, close intimate relationships, and moved on, right? Now I will turn the picture a little bit around, right? Now, if, given that at the stage I am, I cannot predict future, but I can turn back and look at my father's life, right? He also went through the journey. He came through a journey, and he made a family for himself and whatnot. And then I grew up, to be a young adult, and eventually found my own path. And then, my father is in India. I'm here in America, surviving, struggling. Maybe I call him once a week, to have a conversation. Just assure him, yes, we are here, just a phone call, right? That gives a whole lot of emotional, I wouldn't say security or emotional dependence, but still, right? Am I there for my parents every moment? No, not really, right? One phone call, oh, you're not feeling well. Did you go to the doctor? Did you have a test done? All that's all we do, right? There's very little. Obviously, my sister is there and she's taking care of them. That's great and well and good. They're taken care of. But when I look at, the same thing is going to happen to me in future. My kids are going to grow. They're going to go and find their own lives. It's like, outside our house, there's a small tree that we have. And every year, a few robins come and make a nest there. And every year I see that in that nest, there are 3 eggs that they put, 3 to 4 eggs. And then there are, as spring comes in, I see that the robin is very, very busy building the nest. It's trying to pluck grass, it's trying to take some mud and whatnot, and it makes a beautiful nest. And then it lays its eggs. It carefully protects it. Even when I go to water the plants, it's very vigilant. Am I going to touch the nest, or am I going to do something to it and whatnot, right? And then the baby robins come. Eventually, it trains that children, the baby robins, how to find food. It feeds them nicely, how to find food and whatnot. But eventually, the babies fly away, and then the robin is left on its own. But I see it come back. It comes back every year again, and I don't know if it's the same robin, but usually there's one robin that comes back every year, right? So that's a story of my future too, right? Our children are going to grow. They're going to become independent. They're going to try to fly out of the nest. If they don't fly out of the nest, we try to push them out of the nest so that they have their own life. And then, life goes on. And then I don't know my previous life. I don't know my future life, but still I'm sure this is the pattern that continues to repeat again and again and again. So that's the journey I was contemplating on, right? There are so many people that we come across in our life. And then they, at some point of time, they're pulled apart. Again, we come across new people, they're pulled apart. We come across new people, they're pulled apart. So there's a nice example that I don't remember the exact context, I believe from Srimad Bhagavatam. It gives the analogy that as the river Ganga is flowing, so many sticks or hay or straw come together at some point. And at some point, they diverge again. They again come together and they diverge again. In this way, destiny keeps going. So I want to connect this to, a lot of times we think we are in control of the decisions that we are making. We think I made a choice to take this job versus this job. We think we made a choice to pick this friend versus this friend. We think, I made a choice to work hard and get a promotion and make a lot of money. But that's not true. And we saw the conversation between Bhishma Dev and Yudhishthir, and where Bhishma Dev says, you're such great souls, and and you had to go through a lot of suffering, so much suffering. And he says this is all because of providence. This word of providence really strikes me. It strikes me. What is the meaning of providence, right? You can take a look at it from many different angles. You can take it from an angle of how material nature works and whatnot. Some people can take it an angle from astrology. If you look at, I know very little about astrology, but I think the analogy I understand from astrology is there are different planets that control a human being, meaning any living entity. They control how your destiny is played out. I mean, not necessarily control in the sense they decide what they want to do. They are working under the order of the Supreme Lord. Krishna says that I am the controller of this material world, right? We can other ways see how material nature controls, meaning the 3 modes of material nature, how they control our actions and reactions and everything, right? So what is providence then, right? Are we tied up because of providence? Is there anything that we can do about this providence? So that is the question that always makes us a soul seeker look deeper into it, right? And a lot of people take this journey of soul searching to understand either their providence or destiny, or where am I heading to, what is the purpose of my life. A whole lot of questions come to us, right? Then as we think and contemplate about these questions, very few get those answers. Very, very few people get the true answers. And Krishna says that, right? Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschitapi siddhaya yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of thousands of people who endeavor for perfection, hardly one knows everything in truth. So I want to take that little journey of, from our, we are very fortunate to come across Srimad Bhagavatam, the Purana Mamalam. Bhagavatam does not talk about, dharma, artha, kama, or moksha. It talks about the eternal dharma or Sanatan dharma. And I was talking to a few devotees a couple of days ago, and I was sharing how I felt that I'm rediscovering myself in the sense, like, I think the example that I like to give is, in one sense, it's going back to basics. The example I want to give is, most of us are house owners, right? When we bought our first house, we just randomly picked a house. We thought we know what we want, and we just picked a house randomly, knowing that a few things, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need this. But once you move into the house and you live there for several years, you will understand what are the shortcomings of that particular house, what you wish you had made decisions different. And sometimes, it may have worked out well, right? You never thought about something and it worked out. A simple example for us is, I never, when we bought this house, we never were looking at many things. We just wanted to move out because we're paying so much rent. But then eventually I realized having a small backyard is much better than having a big backyard, because then I have to move the lawn, if there's a big sidewalk, you need to shovel the snow, a whole lot of things, right? The small things that you never put into decisions, or you never realized, plays a big role in your life, takes up a lot of your time. So if you were to buy a new house, for example, the second time, you will make a much more educated choice, because you went through some journey in life, right? So similarly, I think in my soul searching, in recent days, going back to basics has become a little more important for me. And then something that I came across very recently is the concept of varnashrama dharma. So, and again, sorry, and I'm just going to the basics. Most of you are very well versed and very educated. So I'll just repeat my own realization, right? In essence, right, we may be doing so many things, right? In terms of bhakti, we may be reading so many books, we may be trying to do services, and we may be struggling to keep our material life together and whatnot. But what is, I think in the past, I never understood what varnashrama dharma was, or I understood what varnashrama dharma was, or I had some form of understanding of varnashrama dharma, but I could never put the pieces together until a few days ago. I don't know if I got it 100% right, but something that's inspiring me to speak on that, right? Varnashrama dharma is purely on the material platform. And that is pretty much targeting to chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna talks about karma kanda or karma yoga, but more on the material platform. But we have to realize, each one of us heard this word, Sanatana Dharma. What is Sanatana Dharma? Sanatana Dharma is our eternal constitutional position. That is what we need to understand. That is the fundamental thing that we need to understand. So the fundamental thing of our Sanatana Dharma is we are a spirit soul and we are the servant of Krishna. As simple as this. Nothing more simple than this can be explained than our Sanatana Dharma, what we are. We are a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and our eternal constitutional position is to serve Krishna. That's it. Nothing else. Now, Varnashrama Dharma is a tool to organize this material world. Given that we are in this material world, we need to have a society, and we need to run a society. So the Varnashrama Dharma is, there are Brahmanas, there are Kshatriyas, there are Vaishyas, there are Sudras, and there is the 4 ashramas: Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, which help us to go through the journey of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. It can help us, direct us towards Sanatana Dharma. It can help us, right? Now, where do we stand? I think I always was wondering how, yes, Prabhupada established the ISKCON movement, and we always hear Prabhupada didn't have enough time to establish the Varnashrama Dharma. He tried to create farm communities and whatnot. So I always felt maybe there is some incompleteness here. But then something that really struck me, and I actually got this from His Holiness Chandramouli Swami, one of his lectures. He was sharing, Prabhupada established what is called Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. We heard this, but I never put the pieces together. The Daivi Varnashrama Dharma is, while you're living in this material world, trying to follow the Varnashrama Dharma principle, you also engage in your Sanatana Dharma to your own capacity. Meaning you engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, which is your constitutional position. You engage in that service. In that way, you're establishing, or you're putting yourself, or you're establishing your Sanatana Dharma slowly, day by day, by engaging, while still living in this material world. And then that unfolds your Sanatana Dharma for you. In essence, that is what we are trying to do as sadhakas. We are trying to balance, when we talk about balance for material life and spiritual life, we are trying to conduct ourselves in Varnashrama Dharma while engaging in Sanatana Dharma, and that becomes Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. So when I looked at it and when I heard about this, I said, yep, Prabhupada established the whole system. There's nothing short there at all. Externally, we may feel that the Varnashrama Dharma is not there. The material world automatically runs, even, Prabhupada says, even if we consciously put Varnashrama Dharma, or if we don't consciously put Varnashrama Dharma, it is still going to happen. And that is happening. Each one of us plays a different role. One person plays the role of a manager in a company. One person plays the role of a salesman. One person plays the role of being an advisor. And there are Shudras, programmers and everything, right? So that is automatically going to happen. So I just wanted to, share that. So then I felt our journey, I'll connect the pieces together, right? This Varnashrama Dharma, the journey that I took you through my childhood through is, when you put these two together, the point that I want to make is, as we are making our journey through providence, through time, it is important that we, just like how a snake peels away its skin, every 14 days. I believe it's every 14 days or every 28 days. I heard when I was a child, in Purnima, it sheds the skin and it builds up a new skin. Our journey is to move from our own identities, our own, I think there is in Ramananda Rai Samvada with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have this nice discussion where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai, what is the highest form of worship, right? And then he talks about Varnashrama Dharma, he talks about many things, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes him peel away everything slowly. And then finally he comes to Naham Vipro, Naham Shudra, Naham Vaishyo. And then he says, Gopi Dasa Padakamala Yaro Dasa 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 Anudas. So our journey on a daily basis is to slowly peel away the skin of material conception, our own identities that we have created within our heart. We think I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm so-and-so in a company, I am a child of someone, I'm the owner of this house, I'm the owner of that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm this. We peel those skins away slowly. And something that really struck me, I heard is, once his guys Gauranga Prabhu was quoted, he gave a quote. What he said is, the mills, he was talking about karma and reactions to karma, and he says, the mills means the grinding mills, the mills of the Lord grind extremely slowly, but when they grind very fine. So if you've been to, sorry, I'm taking a little more time. I'll try to quickly wrap it up. When you grind something, right? I remember as a child, taking stuff. We have like coconut, we dry coconut and we take it to a mill, not the regular mill. I remember an ox mill. An ox goes around, and it is called ganugu in Telugu. And then you put the dried coconut, and then it slowly grinds. The ox goes for like 2-3 hours. It just keeps going round and round, and then finally you get the very, very fine, unrefined coconut oil. And then when you look at the residue or the pulp that is left, they actually feed that to cows. It's called talagapindi. So if you look at it, it becomes so fine and very refined. So that is how Krishna operates on us. He's going to take everything very slowly and steadily. Don't think we'll become a devotee. I remember a few years ago, he said, I was telling a devotee, Prabhu, so much contamination in my heart, so much anarthas in my heart. Then he said, he's also a god brother of mine. He said, Prabhu, and this really struck me. He said, Prabhu, overnight you will not become Radhanath Swami. That's what he said. That really stuck with me. So it's going to take time. But what I mean to say is, as time proceeds, Krishna is going to help us. He's going to help us peel away all our misconceptions. He's going to show us all our anarthas, and he's going to purify us and whatnot, right? So that is going to take time. And the point I want to make is, this peeling away of the skin is the process that we are in right now. Now, in this process, as we shed away skins, right, it is important for us to be focused on the lotus feet of Krishna. And today's verse, sorry, now I'm going to start today's verse. I'll take another 5 to 10 minutes and then finish it up. So this verse is talking about the beauty of Krishna. Here, it is showing, the verse is saying the Lord's chest is the abode of goddess of fortune. His moon-like face, like the Dwarkavasis are getting the darshan of Krishna again. Now they're relishing the beauty of Krishna. And then this verse, again, Bhagavatam verses have so much poetry in it. I like to rejoice a little bit poetry too. And there is so much poetry in this one verse, how it beautifully describes so many things about Krishna. Shriyo Nivasa Yashyo Vira. It says, the goddess of fortune is residing on the chest of Lord Krishna. So when we go and take darshan of the deities of the Lord, right? For example, right behind me, I'll close the camera. So there's the darshan of Shri Radha Madhava. You can see how beautiful they are, right? Shining, effulgent. And as we take their darshan, some people are attracted by the chest of the Lord. Some people are attracted by the different aspects of the Lord, the beautiful face of the Lord, the beautiful lotus eyes of the Lord. Some people are attracted by the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And here Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, he very nicely explains how each one of us is attracted to many different things in this material world. We are attracted to wealth. We are attracted to power. We are attracted to service. It could be service to others, service to the country and whatnot, right? I think these are the main 3 things that Prabhupada is touching in his purport, because those are correlating to the verse. But, Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. We know that the definition of Bhagavan is there are 6 things that attract everyone in this material world. Aishwaryasya, Viryasya, Yasasyancha, Samagrasyancha. There are the 6 aspects, and we are covering 3 aspects. Some are attracted to the wealth. They want possessions. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying is, just take the darshan of the lotus chest of the Lord, and you will see, when you take the darshan of the lotus chest of the Lord, you will see that Lakshmi Devi is sitting on his chest, Srivatsa. Vishnu is called Srivatsa because when the Samudra Manthan happened and Lakshmi Devi came out of the ocean, the milk ocean. She was trying to find a spotless person, one person who had no impurities at all, not who was spotless basically. And the only person that she could find was Lord Vishnu. And then she garlands Lord Vishnu as her husband. And then she takes her residence on his chest. So if somebody is attracted to wealth, Srila Prabhupada is saying, take the darshan of the lotus chest of the Lord, and you will see that Lakshmi Devi is sitting, because indirectly you're attracted to Lakshmi. And then you will realize that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Lakshmis who are worshipping Krishna, from the Brahma Samhita, right? Sahasra, it's talked about about the Chintamani Dham. Krishna Govinda is worshipped by thousands and thousands of Lakshmis. Then you will be attracted to the source of the attraction for Lakshmi, who is Krishna. So if you are attracted to power, right? If you are attracted to power, look at the arms of the Lord, and He is the one who's going to give you protection. Srila Prabhupada is saying in this purport, everybody is trying to keep their stance. We look for power in many things. We look for power in our position. We look for power in our material possessions. We look for power through our entourage, meaning, our followers and whatnot. But everybody's in danger that they will lose their power. But then, if you look at or take darshan of the shoulders of the Lord, then that will give you freedom from this anxiety that you will not have enemies, right? When the purport Srila Prabhupada is saying, by taking shelter, Abhaya Hastam, it's said, Krishna is defined, He is the one who can give you Abhaya Hastam. He can give you assurance that you will never be destroyed. And then eventually you will understand, yes, Krishna is going to protect me. And then eventually you will take his shelter. Now, finally, it goes to the lotus feet of the Lord. Who takes the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord? He talks about how the devotees who want to serve, they take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So in this context, I'll take, like I said, I keep saying I'll take 2 more minutes. I really want to touch Rupa Goswami's prayer. And like I said, I like poetry a bit. This is from Telugu. I think some of you may know, especially I think Amritakeli Mehta, may know this very well. It comes in Telugu Bhagavatam. But because I like poetry, I want to share this one verse. It's not necessarily from Srila Prabhupada's books or from Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. But there's this interaction between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. So when Hiranyakashipu asks Prahlad Maharaj to come and explain what he learned, and then there's a nice conversation, eventually the discussion goes, Hiranyakashipu feels so sorry for his son. Hiranyakashipu is battling in his heart. He's trying to battle between his ego, his prowess, and his enmity with Vishnu. And he's trying to battle with the love that he has for his own son, right? And then, he tries to convince his son in a loving way. He says, Prahlad, it's fine. He finally says, I know you want to do service, but if you want to do service, no, don't serve Vishnu. You serve Shiva. Or you serve Brahma. Brahma is, he's the one who gave me boons and material benedictions. He's our great-great-grandfather. You worship Brahma. And he's giving options to Prahlad Maharaj to serve different things. And then Prahlad Maharaj replies with a nice poem. He says, Mandara Makaranda Madhurya Mulaninduku. I won't read the whole thing because of time. Basically, he says, a bee is only attracted by the nectar in the flowers. A swan, there may be many, many bodies of water. There is, the oceans, there's many things, but the swan is only attracted to the lakes. Mandakini. Then thirdly, he says, there is so much water around, there are beautiful ponds and whatnot where water has sources. But the chakora bird is only attracted to the raindrops that come on the full moon cloud, from the full moon cloud. And in this way, he goes on to explain this, and then he finally says, I am only attracted to the holy name of the Lord and the lotus feet of the Lord, and serving the lotus feet of the Lord. It is Hari is the only person who I can worship, and nobody else, and nothing else. So I felt that was, it was very very poetic actually, if you recite the whole thing. But in essence, that's what Prahlad Maharaj is conveying to his father when he gives other options on how to serve the Lord. So, and then now if you go to Rupa Goswami's prayers, right, very similar in those lines. I'll share the screen again. Rupa Goswami is very nicely quoting this prayer. He says, although, first one, the first refrain, and this is the refrain which repeats after every verse. O Lord Krishna, I'm offering you a prayer unto you. Please let the bee of my mind be offered the nectarian honey of your lotus feet. So the bee does not go to anything else except the honey, right? Earlier I said mandara, manda, so it goes to the honey, the bee goes and picks up the honey. Similarly, let my mind go to your lotus feet, because the nectar of the service is available at your lotus feet. And then he's saying how great people like Brahma, who is completely engaged in meditation, they can never attain that. But still I'm aspiring for that. I want to say this prayer so that I can aspire for that service. And he says, he's saying there are great people who cannot attain this, but still I beg for that mercy. And then he says, I do not possess I don't even have a small size of a sesame seed, the bhakti. But I have faith in the power, in your own powers, that you will awaken the desire in my heart. And then he says, because your feet are filled with such wonderful rasa, because each one of us is attracted to different rasas. We are attracted to so many, even in this material world, we are attracted to so many little objects, because there is some attraction, some potency in it, right? That's why there's an attraction for us. There is some sweetness. But because Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, if you have seen, there is a book called Krishna is the Reservoir of All Pleasure. Anybody who comes new to the temple, they are given this book, Krishna, the Reservoir of All Pleasure. So he's saying, by you can, dissipate everything, all other attractions, and give me the sweetness. So please, this is my own prayer, my only prayer. Let me be attracted to your lotus feet. Now, in conclusion, I want to finally conclude with from the book by Gurujan Prabhu, Unveiling the Lotus Feet. And he talks about in that book, in this context, in this section, he says, how Krishna has this wonderful feature, his most attractive feature that the Dwarka Vasis are relishing. And he says, our temples are that. And especially when devotees come during celebrating festivals, and especially outside people only come during celebration of festivals, when they come and take the darshan of the Lord, that is what is going to satisfy their heart completely. And then I'll read the exact sentence he says here. He says is, during desiring to experience ecstasy of greeting Krishna, the conditioned souls caught beneath the cloud of illusion may also taste a sweet drop of this joyous ocean by visiting him in his temples, especially during celebrations such as Janmashtami and Julan Yatra, wherein he accepts his worship as the deity. Whether one is qualified or unqualified, good or bad, if one approaches Krishna and sincerely offers him whatever he or she is capable of offering, Krishna will reciprocate with auspicious benedictions, the most beneficial of which will be deepening of one's desire to serve him. So one has to go and take darshan of the Lord and give something to the Lord to his capability. When we do that, then Krishna will bless us. What kind of blessings he will give us? He will give a blessing to deepen the desire to worship him. So this is what I would like to conclude with. Such a beautiful nectarian verse describing the lotus face of the Lord, the lotus chest of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord. Sorry for taking over time. If there's any questions or comments, let's quickly go through that. And
We are not in front of the camera, I think.
I want you to take the darshan of Radha Madhava.
Yeah. That's why I didn't. Yes.
All right. If there's nothing, then we'll end it here. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Nice.